So tell me what you know about the Edmund Fitzgerald. Not everything you know, but just what's
Yeah,
your
sure.
what's your general level of
So a
knowledge?
giant ship that was a Great Lakes, shipper of goods and services and
Uh-huh.
ores and stuff, and it sank obviously 1975, 50 years ago. It's epic, one of the most famous, I would say second famous ship sinking after the Titanic, probably.
It's got to be up there, right? There's the Gordon Lightfoot song, and that's obviously a big famous thing about it. I wanted to bring this up before we get into the podcast because I read a book about this. The 50th anniversary was yesterday, recording this on 11/11, and it actually sank as Monday Night Football was kicking off. This was only the sixth season of Monday Night Football in 1975, and or
Mhm.
maybe the third season of Monday Night Football. It was a novelty, is the point. And
Yeah.
it was our Kansas City Chiefs on that Monday Night Football game when the Edmund Fitzgerald sank, and that got me thinking about all the horrible, disgusting parallels that I could draw between the 2025 Chiefs and the Edmund Fitzgerald. Like, for instance,
Oh no.
are you familiar with the concept of like reserve buoyancy? Like, do you understand kind of how that works?
Reserve buoyancy. I mean, I obviously know
It's
about buoyancy.
Yeah, reserve buoyancy is just it's sort of like just a technical term. It's pretty much the same thing as buoyancy. Don't check my math on this if we have any sailors
Okay.
listening to the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
The way I understand this concept is that a ship has buoyancy, and as long as it has buoyancy, it's going to float. And when it doesn't, it's going to sink. And when you envision a ship wrecking or sinking, you of course think about the most famous sinking, the Titanic, right? Like
Mhm.
glassy sea, perfectly calm night, which is why they couldn't see the iceberg because there's no wake, whatever.
Right.
Uh, you know, punctured little tiny holes in there, and it takes about 2 hours for the ship to kind of go down. The Edmund Fitzgerald, we don't know exactly how it sank, but they didn't even have time to send a distress signal, man. And they're in like 30-foot waves in this gigantic gale on Lake Superior. And there is speculation that the ship went down in like under 60 seconds, right? Like
Mhm. Mhm.
it's floating, it's plowing through a big wave, and then suddenly it doesn't ever come out and it's hitting the bottom and it's just it's sunk, it's gone, everyone inside is dead, and that kind of reminds me of the 2025 Chiefs.
Yeah, that is fair. Captain McSorley on the ship sent his last message. We are holding our own,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and that was the last thing he ever said. So much like I think some Chiefs fans, not all of us, but some of us,
We're
a lot
holding
of
our
people
own.
are we're holding our. We think
Yeah.
everything's just going to be totally fine, and like we've been
Yep.
here
We're
before.
holding our own. Of course we'll
We've
make the
made this
playoffs.
passage time and time again. We're
Yeah.
fine. We're the
Literally
Edmund
hundreds of times.
Fitzgerald. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason why anything bad's about to
This
happen.
storm's not going to sink us. We've been in storms before.
Right. And then of course, like you said, instantly and horrifyingly, it did. And I unfortunately 50 years later, some of that, hopefully it doesn't ring true, but I understand the parallels.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Austin. You can find me on X at Real Bird Lawyer, bird law expert on Blue Sky. Here with me, my co-host Taylor Witt. You may know him on X at Taylor_Witt. What's going on, buddy? We're doing a little bit of a different thing.
We cope with things in various ways on this show, and sometimes we just feel the need to throw a change up, to just try something different, see what happens. This is our trying something different. It's not going to stick. Things will be brighter in the future. But
Or
right
they'll be
now,
the Edmund Fitzgerald, and they'll be
or
sunk.
they'll be sunk into eternity. So either way, we're dealing with it. I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm glad to hear you back on the other end of the show. Obviously, it's been a couple weeks for you. You were jet setting around the world, and then
Mm.
last week we took a bye week. So welcome back to the show for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dusting the rust off. And hopefully, this podcast won't go down in an instant when the reserve buoyancy or whatever fails. I mean, just imagine like at least the Titanic, people on the Titanic, like they knew it hit an iceberg, right? Like
Yeah,
they know there's a hole in the
they
bottom of
knew
the
what
ship.
was
They could see
happening.
it like slowly going down. Imagine just being in a storm and then you're dead. That's pretty messed up.
It was pretty messed up.
Let's hope that's not the fate of our podcast.
No, let's hope not.
Uh, it's November 11th, which means we need to shout out our troops. So thank you to all of our veteran listeners, and we appreciate you. Shout out to all of you guys. We do have some friends of our show who participate in our fantasy football leagues. Our redraft league, which will earn promotion, of course, to our dynasty league. Fat Mahomes, oh my God, bro,
Smoking.
you got to cool it.
Yeah.
9-1 record, 7 straight wins, the most points scored in the league by almost 100, which is just absolutely dominant. Of course, the regular season points winner gets promoted, right? So he's already in great shape.
I'm not going to say that we're going to disallow him from being promoted because we're scared of him,
Yeah,
because that would
sure.
be,
No,
that would be
that's
a coward's way out.
it would be
However,
cowardly. It would be
if it
cowardly.
happens that there's some glitch in the system and Sleeper doesn't allow his username to be added to our Dynasty League, it is what it is. So be it. But no, WB Jewel killing the game at 9-1. Really, really good job there. And we'll see if that record holds up for the remaining. The fantasy season is shorter than the regular season. It
It's only four
ends
weeks
after
left.
14 weeks, so he's in pretty good shape there to get the promotion.
Why don't you tell us about our cutthroat team? Because as longtime listeners of the show will know, I ducked out early this year. I took my lumps. After 2 straight seasons in the finals, I got bounced in like week 5, and I haven't had to think about this for a long time. So why don't you kind of loop me in on what's going on?
You made it to week 7, so at
Okay,
least
all right. It's not
that
as bad as
you
I thought.
you basically you were
Still
part of
pretty bad
the
though.
the first group. I am only alive by the absolute skin of my teeth miracle. There's no chance that I'm making it another 2 weeks or so. I have no money. My players are fine, but they're not great, and so I'm just kind of hanging around. But really, in that league, there's two people that if I had a free $1 million bet on who's going to win the league, it's going to either be Chief 270, who
Ugh, yeah,
is just smoking. His team, just for a recap, is Jackson Dart and Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson and Brees Hall,
yes,
Jackson Smith and Jigba, who of course has
yeah.
been, and
Mm.
Puka. And I mean, he's great. So really, really good job there. And then the other kind of, I don't want to say dark horse candidate, but a team that I feel like I didn't really see coming at first. Doctor or Drew, I think it's Drew Weiss.
Mm.
He's got Lamar, who of course he was kind of
Yeah.
plodding along there for a little bit, and now he's
Yeah,
doing
Lamar
great.
was plodding along on my team, and then I got cut, and
Right.
then.
He's got Devon Achan and Christian McCaffrey and
Pretty
and
good.
Drake London and Devontae Adams. And he's got a good squad. So anyway, congratulations to everyone, all the 8 players, including myself, 7 players that are still in the game. It's going to come down. It's going to be an intense finish there. We will miss your presence and your dominance in the league, but time to pass the crown
That's okay because I saved the best for last. That's our dynasty league,
on. Ugh,
and I decided that I traded my dominance in
you
cutthroat
did.
for dominance in dynasty, where my team is 10-0. It's
Yeah.
undefeated. Okay,
Yep.
like
It's never
I,
happened.
it's never happened to me. I don't know anyone who has ever gone undefeated in a fantasy league. This is a serious league. These people are all, they listen to the show. They're all very plugged in as football fans. They're all very good at what they do. They all paid a significant buy-in to be in this
Yeah.
league. I am thrilled to death, obviously, with how the squad is looking out. I do
Yep.
have some competition from Dennis, DPO and
Of
Shay,
course,
who
as
is about
always.
25 points behind me in the overall point standings, but he's 2 games back of me in the standings, and he doesn't have a perfect record. He did beat me in the finals last year, so I am out for revenge. And unlike our Kansas City Chiefs, my revenge tour has so far been highly successful. And
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
pray to God that it will continue to be so. I do have to play Dennis one more time in week 14. So like there's a really good chance
That's for
I'm
the undefeated
13 and
season.
0.
Mm-hmm.
It's for the undefeated regular season, and then
Mm-hmm.
I got to make sure I don't Patriots this thing. But
No,
uh,
I
you
mean
know,
you would obviously rather take an L in 14 if it
sure.
means a
Yeah,
ring, of
absolutely.
course.
100%.
So that's going to be goal number one, is get you a ring. It's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming, but we're not going to do that either. Let's not throw any Taylor Swift lyrics out today. We have a good show, a fine show for you
Fine.
guys. We have news. We're going to talk about what's going on, and we're going to preview the Chiefs game at the Denver Broncos on Sunday. So let's just talk about the news that is happening in the NFL. There's no injury report because we're recording this on a Tuesday. A little bit of funky timing for us because we took the week that I was on vacation and Harms is filling in. Shout out to Harms. You did a great job.
Yep.
Then we had a bye week, and now we're back, but we're back on a Tuesday. I really wanted to report on Edmund Fitzgerald Day, which was yesterday, but it was just too soon.
Yeah.
It's just too soon on a
It is.
Monday. We wanted to get it close though for the timing. So here we are. It's Tuesday. We don't have an injury report yet, but everyone on the Chiefs seems relatively healthy. Trey Smith obviously gutted it out against the Bills. You presumably he will be a week healthier. It sounds like, based on our early pressers from Andy Reid, that Jawan Taylor is probably going to be back. It sounds like Isaiah Pacheco is a little bit iffier to potentially play this week, so he may be out. But otherwise, it seems like the team is relatively healthy coming out of their bye. You cannot necessarily say that for the Broncos, who are presumably going to be missing Pat Surtain. He's not on IR, but he is. He told somebody that he's at 46%
Mhm.
this week. So, you know, yeah, if he wants to play at 46%, put him on the field.
Yeah.
Like let him go against Xavier Worthy and Rasheed Rice and Hollywood Brown at 46%. And we'll see how that goes. It looks like J.K. Dobbins, their starting running back for the year, may go on IR. He's an IR candidate, so you would assume he's definitely going to miss this game, regardless of what they decide to do for him procedurally. Their starting linebacker, Alex Singleton, sounds like he may miss this game. He's their green dot, so at least he's not a very good player, but he's kind of like I mean, he's the Nick Bolton. He's the guy that's commanding the defense on the field. So he may not be good, but not having him in the game, it may affect some of the other guys.
So he's their defensive version of Bo Nix. He's commanding the field, but
That's
he's not
exactly
good.
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I like that a lot. Uh, Josh Simmons is back. This is obviously a hugely important development. We do not know why he was gone. We probably will never learn why he was gone, based on the fact that these are the Kansas City Chiefs. The fact that they were able to keep whatever it was under wraps for as long as he was away from the team, which was a month, uh, kind of makes me think that we're never going to find out,
Yeah.
and that's okay. The important thing is that he's back. It's unclear whether he will be out there. I'm sure the Chiefs would love to have him starting against the Broncos, against this fearsome Broncos pass rush. Jalen Moore has not looked incredibly sharp the last couple of weeks after a strong debut against the Lions. So we will see what happens, but it's good to have him back in the building.
I want to say this about Josh Simmons and his absence. I'm sure I was not in lockstep with every listener on the show as far as my feelings towards the information and the situation, and just kind of I was frustrated, and I thought that we deserved more than what we got, which does not. There's a fine line between that and wanting to overstep and know every detail about him. I just thought
Right.
that the Chiefs didn't handle it well from a purely like fan agitation perspective, which I understand is not the number one concern involved. However, I'm fully prepared to completely forget about the Josh Simmons stuff. If he comes back and I mean, I assume plays and doesn't leave again or anything like that. Like assuming this story is in the past, that's fine. Whatever happened, and it's not going to be anything that I'm going to sit here and you know worry or wonder about what could have happened. I was only worrying and wondering because we just didn't know. We had no timeline. We
Right.
had no clue. We had no. It was a stressful and concerning situation while he was gone. Now that he's back, big ups to him and all the people close to him and whatever. Hopefully, whatever happened is now to the point where he feels confident and comfortable enough to come play winning football with the Chiefs. We could sure use him.
Yeah, and I think we should mention too. Obviously, this really tragic situation with Marshawn Nealand, the Cowboys
Yes,
defensive end,
horrible.
just 5 days ago. And whatever was going on with Josh Simmons, there's a reason why the Chiefs handled this the way that they did.
Mhm.
I hope and pray for everyone's sake that they handled it the right way. I mean, this franchise, you have to go back a while, but Javon Belcher,
Yeah, you
it's
don't
a
have to go
dark
back that far.
chapter in the history of this franchise. And I mean, yeah, the 13 years ago was the year before Andy Reid got here.
Yeah,
So, you know, um, we don't know what it is. We hope that it's resolved from a football standpoint, and obviously, we hope that it's resolved from a personal standpoint. Whatever is going on with Josh Simmons, that he is in a good place mentally and physically, and hope to see him out there on Sunday. Uh, Final point on the news: the NFL trade deadline was last week. It's come and gone. The Chiefs made no moves, but they did make pains to let you know that they almost made a couple of moves. And I guess we could talk about those. So they offered a fourth round pick allegedly for Jets running back Brees Hall. The Jets, despite unloading two of their other star players, Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner,
Mhm.
uh, for multiple first round picks. I mean, huge
Two
hauls.
coming up opponents of the Chiefs, by the way, the Colts
Yeah,
and the
right. Exactly.
Cowboys. Pretty
Colts and the
cool.
Cowboys, of course. Sure. Exactly. Uh, Despite them unloading both of those players for a haul, they decided that the line that they were going to draw with running back on an expiring contract who's going to be a free agent in 3 months is that they had to have a third round pick. So the Chiefs did not get Brees Hall, who leads the NFL with the highest percentage of 15 plus yard runs on
He's
his
so good.
carries, who basically won the game for the Jets on Sunday with an insane touchdown that he scored on a screen pass that he had no business converting into a touchdown. I I'm sure you're upset about this, but tell me how you feel about this.
Yeah, I am. It it's just one of those things. I tweeted on the day of the trade deadline. I said, I just want the Chiefs to take themselves as seriously as we do. And
Yeah,
that seemed to resonate with a lot of people because it's not that I think I know better than them or that I mean, they've obviously been the premier professional sports organization for 8 years. There's no doubting that the people involved with the Chiefs know what they're doing. I just felt that it was the sense of urgency that I feel as a fan about the situation of the 2025 Chiefs was one that I did not have full confidence that the complement of players that they had on the roster were going to be sufficient to dig them out of the hole. And I
sure.
just felt that sacrificing a little bit for the future in order to, maintain the level of excellence that the Chiefs have come to, I mean, frankly, take for granted. I mean, fans have come to take for granted. That was something that I felt strongly about. I felt strongly that they needed to go out and plug some holes. And there were two areas, they're really the only two that I cared about adding talent at all. Most people, I mean, this was obvious, was the defensive line and running backs. And Brees Hall was such an obvious candidate. The Jets were rudderless. He's on an expiring contract. He's very, very good. He's got local ties. There was a lot about it that made a ton of sense. He would be a great receiving back. He would be a great in between the tackles. He does everything really well. I just thought that an addition like him would have been worth more than whatever they're going to do with a third or fourth round pick. I haven't
Mhm.
seen them pick a guy in the third or fourth round where I was like, oh yeah, he would be a better situation than bringing Brees Hall into this situation, and especially given Pacheco's injury. Like if Pacheco had at least been healthy, even if he wasn't
Right.
running well,
Right.
and they
Right.
could at least look at you and tell you like, well, the running back room's full. It might not be that good, but it's full. Then whatever. But he was clearly hurt. It was frustrating. I was very frustrated.
Yeah. I mean, I'm frustrated by it too. I guess the the only thing that I can say about it, the only positive spin I can put on it, which is not what this show is about, obviously. If it was, we would have named it something different
The
than Unnamed Chief Podcast number
podcast.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, I don't know. I mean, clearly the Chiefs don't think that it's the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not winning a Super Bowl. Because if they did think that, they would have given up a third round pick. They gave up a third round pick a couple years ago for Kadarius Toney, right?
I
Like
know.
it's
Doesn't that
not
make
like
this worse?
well, so it doesn't, except it does and it doesn't, right? Because you gave up a third round pick for Kadarius Toney and it was not worth it. And you did win a Super Bowl, but it clearly was not worth a third round pick. Kadarius Toney,
Kadarius Toney has two Super Bowls in 2 seasons with the Chiefs.
yeah, it's true. That's true. And that's a great point by you. However, it was not worth it.
No.
And I mean, the team's over the cap for next year. They have, I think it's like 25 or 30
Yeah,
players
it's
under
not good.
contract.
Yeah.
They need draft capital. I kind of get it. But like, I don't know. Could they not have like asked for the Jets to send like a sixth back or something like that? Like a,
Negotiate,
a, a
Brett.
yeah, a pick back, like a pick swap. Give us a pick swap, right? Like we'll give you a third, you give us back a fifth, whatever it needs to be. Like we'll give you a fifth in Isaiah Pacheco, you give us a third
Yeah.
in Brees Hall, or
Pacheco's from New
that would be a
York.
good one. Yeah, he
I mean,
is.
it
That's
could have
true. It's
worked.
a really good point.
I guess
Anyway,
New
it's
Jersey. They get mad
Yeah,
when you do that, but
they do.
the New York area.
It's frustrating for sure. And the other area of need that you alluded to was obviously the pass rush,
Yeah.
which uh, the need there manifested itself in a big way against Josh Allen and the Bills. And the
It's been all
Chiefs,
year, man. That
I
wasn't the
know,
only game.
I know, it has been, but it really was
Yeah.
obvious against the
Yeah, it
Bills.
was.
Uh, they made supposedly a strong push for Seahawks pass rusher Boye Mafe, and the Seahawks quite fairly and reasonably decided, yeah, we've got like too many pass rushers, but like, why would we give one up?
Yeah,
Like it seems like the Seahawks were content to sit on this harem, this cabal
man.
of pass rushers that they have assembled. And you know what? That's fine. They look like the best team in the NFC. They might be the best team in the NFL right now. So you can't blame them for not wanting to sell when, they're
Well,
the best team. But
let's linger on that for a second. So the
sure.
Chiefs go out there and they're looking for a pass rusher.
Mhm.
And instead of, and maybe they did, but the story that they leaked was they're looking for a guy on a 7-2 team,
Uh-huh.
the Seattle Seahawks, who are
Sure.
killing the game. They have a 103-point differential, best in the NFC and second best in the NFL. They're really, really, really good. I don't understand why a guy like Bradley Chubb isn't on their radar instead. Because you gotta go to these teams that are struggling, that need to offload guys that
Yeah.
are, the Jets are a perfect example. That's why Brees Hall made a ton of sense. It wasn't just that he was a good running back and they were, going to go look at, I mean, Jonathan Taylor. Like, there's a reason that you go after Brees Hall. It's because the Jets were 2-7. And I just don't understand why the Seahawks would have been a trade, like a partner for the Chiefs. Why would
Mhm.
the Chiefs think that the Seahawks are in a position to sell? I don't know. I thought that was really
Well,
strange.
it's interesting because Schefter, and obviously it makes the most sense that this was the leak this came from the Chiefs
Yes,
because why
agree.
would the
Yes,
Seahawks leak
settle the
this?
natives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Schefter reports some thought the deal would get done. One source even thought it was completed, but right
yep,
before the deadline, Seattle opted to hold on to Mafe. It's interesting. He has no sacks on the season. He's 12th though in ESPN's edge pass rush win rate rankings,
interesting.
and the Seahawks are blitzing at the second lowest percentage in the league and getting the second highest pressure rate. So like they clearly know what they're doing with their pass rush, and the Chiefs clearly don't. So it is interesting that that's where the Chiefs decided to go shopping. It didn't work out. The Chiefs did not improve the team in any way at the deadline. I guess, no, you know what? I was going to say, I guess if we're looking for silver lining, but that's not what we're doing
We're
on
not.
today's exercise. This is a realistic Chiefs podcast for realistic Chiefs fans. Let's just move into our next segment, which is called What's Going On?
Let's find out what's going on, buddy.
Yeah,
What's the deal?
what's going on, Taylor, is that the Chiefs are in eighth place in the AFC, and this season's felt a little bit like a roller coaster, and not necessarily in a good way. You could also compare it to getting whiplash. You could also compare it, say, to a freighter carrying
Yeah,
taconite ore
right.
in a gale on Lake Superior, and you have no way of knowing how much water is in the hold or how it got there. And at any moment, that water could overcome your buoyancy, and your ship could sink straight to the bottom of the lake, and you're all going to die. Uh, we're not quite there yet, but if we look at what's going on in the AFC, I mean, we're it gets late early, as Yogi Berra would say.
Mhm.
Three-way tie for first place in the AFC between the Patriots, Drake May, MVP candidate. He's top two in MVP odds with Matt Stafford. The 8-2 Colts, who barely survived this weekend
Yeah.
against the Falcons in Germany,
Mhm.
and the 8-2 Denver Broncos, whom the Chiefs will be playing on Sunday. I mean, the Patriots were up there, the Colts were up there. The surprising one, since the last time we talked about what's going on, is the Broncos, who obviously have reeled off seven straight wins, eight straight wins,
A lot.
and they're not good. They're not good wins. They're not against good teams. They beat the Eagles, and yet they really want you to know on X.com that they beat the Eagles and the Chiefs did not. That's very important for them that people know that. So I will acknowledge it, so that they don't, have a fit over that. But like, I don't know. None of these teams seem that good. The Colts look extremely vulnerable the last 2 weeks. Daniel Dimes is back to, you know,
Daniel
getting
Dimes. I
pressured,
like that.
turning the ball over. And the Patriots, I'm starting to believe in a little bit because Drake May is awesome.
Sure.
Mike Vrabel's a great coach. Yeah, their schedule has been bad, but like
They look good.
they aren't. I mean,
They
Broncos
passed the eye
fans also
test.
would like you to know that they lost to the Raiders in Week 1, and
Sure.
the Broncos they beat the Raiders,
Yep,
albeit by
that's
three
true.
points.
So did we,
But they want you
by
to
more
know
than
that the
three.
Patriots lost to the Raiders. The Patriots have also beaten some actual good teams like the Bills, and they just beat a very game Buccaneers team.
Mm-hmm. The
Drake
Tom
May
Brady
looks
Bowl.
great. I mean, listen, the difference between the 8-2 Patriots and the 8-2 Broncos is that the Patriots have a good quarterback and the
Yeah,
Broncos have a bad quarterback.
and a good coach.
So, you know, uh, in fourth place behind these three 8-2 teams, of course, it is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Mm,
I mean, it just
bummer.
this season has it's just there's so many things that have to go wrong for us to be talking about what's going on where the Chiefs are in eighth place after 10 weeks
Yeah.
and the Broncos, Patriots, Colts, and Chargers are the top four teams. The Bills are in there. We'll talk about the rest of the thing. It's almost like the number of things that would have to go wrong for the biggest ore freighter on the Great Lakes to go down in a storm. I mean, do you understand how many things have to go wrong? Like the weather forecasting has to be terrible. They have to choose this strange route through uncharted waters. The Canadian charts are wrong. They possibly are scraping a shoal and they can't communicate for help. Like there's just a lot of things that have to conspire to go wrong. And a lot of things have conspired to go wrong. The Bills are 6-3 after an embarrassing loss to the Dolphins, but that doesn't really matter because they've already beaten the Chiefs. And they already have a tiebreaker over the Chiefs. So there's still effectively a game and a half up on the Chiefs with, infinite tiebreaker. The Chiefs don't get that back. They only play once. Whoever
Yeah.
wins it gets the tiebreaker. They don't have it. And then the Steelers are a game up on the previously 1-5 Ravens. I mean, the Ravens are getting in. They're winning the AFC
Yes.
North. They're getting
Probably
in.
going away.
Lamar is going to make it into the playoffs, and we'll see if he can get the monkey off his back. The last team, the 5-4 Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the same record as the Chiefs, but guess what? They're in the playoffs, and we're not because they beat us. You know,
Yeah.
they do play the 7-3 Chargers this week, so at least one of those teams will lose. And I guess go Chargers because
I
we
mean,
need the Jags to lose.
instead of go Chargers, it's really whoever loses that game. They're the gazelle that the
Sure,
Chiefs have to chase
right,
down.
right,
It
yeah,
doesn't really matter if it's the Jags or the Chargers because the Broncos are their own beast that the Chiefs have to slay. And if the Chiefs can pass the Broncos, then they're winning
and
the
they win
AFC
the
West
division.
and the Super
Yeah,
Bowl and all that stuff. But if they can't pass the Broncos, then if you're battling out in the wild cards, I don't care between 5, 6, or 7 as far as wild card positioning goes. The Chiefs just need to get in the dance.
yeah.
And whoever loses between the Chargers and the Jaguars are going to be there for the take. They're going to be the team that is going to be asking a bunch of questions about themselves and is going to be worried about making the playoffs. And they're the ones that the Chiefs need to chase down. So I don't really care. If the Chargers win that game, fine. Then I'll just be rooting against the Jaguars for the rest of the year.
Right. That's it. That's simple. So all this to say, since we're talking about what's going on, Chief situation's not great. It's
Let
not
me
great.
let me tell you how not great it is.
Okay.
So I wanted to look at where the Chiefs have been through 10 weeks in the Patrick Mahomes era every year.
Okay,
And
good.
and
Because
I
I keep having people tell me that we've been in a situation
yeah,
before.
don't worry about it, bro. Everything's
We've
fine,
we've
right?
been here
That's
before. We've
yeah,
been
yeah.
in storms before. We
Not
didn't
like
sink
this one.
before.
Not like this one, my
You
friend.
ever been
So
a
batten
storm,
down the
Taylor?
hatches. No, I have not. I've never been in a storm like this, and I can tell you, I can prove it. 2018. I'm just going to go through the years, and I'm going to tell you weeks 1 through 10, where they were at in the conference and where they were at in the division. Okay,
Okay.
just
Yep.
a little snapshot, quick little
Yep.
snapshot. 10 games in 2018. The Chiefs' rank in the conference went like this: 1-1, 1-1-1, 1-1, 1-1-1. So they were
Okay.
never even the second worst team or second
Sure.
best team in the conference in 2018, which of course, if they're number one in the conference 10 weeks running, same one stretch in the AFC West. They were
Of
they were doing
course.
great in 2018. Now they actually did end the year 12-4, same record as the Chargers, and only got the number one seed based on the tiebreakers and all that stuff. But we're doing 10 weeks. So here for 10 weeks, Chiefs straight in 2018. Now 2019, Pat's knee was on the side of his leg. I don't know if you remember that. We were
I
there.
do. I do.
The Chiefs conference ranking. went 1-1-1-1-2, 3-3-5-4-5. And in 2019, after week 10, they were the fifth ranked team in the AFC. However, that included a major injury to the quarterback that the Chiefs then got back. So it was kind of a fifth with an asterisk. Obviously, the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl in 2019.
They
But
did.
the other thing that made 2019 more palatable of being the fifth in the AFC was their division rank in those 10 weeks, even with Pat. It was 1-1, 1-1-1, 1-1, 1-1-1. So
Oh, okay.
they never once were looking up at another team in the AFC West in 2019 in the first 10 weeks. So,
Hmm.
fine. It
Sure.
was it
Yep.
was certainly not what we're experiencing now. 2020, I mean, we all remember that was a banner year for the regular season.
Uh-huh.
The AFC rankings went 1-1-1-1-3, 3-2-2-2-2, right there neck and neck the whole season with the Bills. Ended up being, or actually 2020 was, I believe, the Titans that was right there neck and neck with the Chiefs. But didn't matter because in the AFC West, stop me if you've heard this before. One
Hmm.
one 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 1-1-1-1-1. So they once again, for the third year in a row, 18, 19, and 20, did not spend one of the first 10 weeks looking up at a single team in the AFC West.
It's crazy.
It's not that crazy because they were really good for a really long time. 2021. Now, this is the one year that compares the
Sure.
most similarly to
This is the
2025.
storm. This is
This is the
the
last
50
storm
year
that the
storm.
Chiefs have been in. Yes, exactly right. The 4-year storm, I guess. The Chiefs conference ranking went 1-3-9-8-9-7-9-8-7-5. So they had the swoon in the middle. Obviously, everyone remembers they started 3-4. They were getting their ass kicked. This was after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl ass kicking. A lot of similarities going on between 2025 and 2021 as far as like narrative around the team. Offensive line was a mess, blah, 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 yada, yada. We remember it. However, AFC West rankings. 1-3. The week 2 of the 2021 season was the first time in the Mahomes era that he began a week looking up at someone else in the AFC West, and he actually dipped as low as 4, if you would believe it.
Oof. Yeah.
Weeks 3, 4, and 5. The Chiefs did not have a better record than anyone else in the AFC West. So they go 1-3-4-4-4. Now, this is where things turn around. 3-3-3-3-1 by week 10 of 2021, even though the Chiefs were, they were fifth in the conference, but they were back to first in the AFC West, and no one was worried about the playoffs in 2021. Everyone was, wondering what was going on with the Chiefs. They were in a little losing funk and yada yada yada, and the two highs and all that fun stuff. But no one was worried about the playoffs because by week 10, the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders just all completely shot the bed. They were useless, and that makes sense. That's what we're used to. 2022, very good year. Patrick Mahomes
Yeah.
wins
Right.
MVP. Chiefs win the Super Bowl. 1-1-2-1-1, 2-2-2-1-1 was their AFC rankings. So of
Sure.
course,
AFC
we're
West.
back to the old reliable in the division. 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. They were the best team in the AFC West for the first 10 weeks of the 2022 season. 2023, they did have hit another little early losing streak here, but
Uh-huh.
it righted itself pretty quickly. They lost their first ever week 1 game in the Mahomes era to the Detroit Lions. So their AFC ranking starts off as 7 in week 1, which is their worst ranking in the AFC in a while. And then 3-2-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. So from week 4 through week 10, they were the best team in the AFC, which
Sure.
means their ranking in the division went to 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. So again, that is now 19 out of 20 of their previous weeks where they were number 1 in the
And
division.
that 2023 team wasn't, I
They weren't that
mean,
good. They
they
were,
weren't in the regular season,
yeah,
they were not good that good. That was the
yeah,
team that finished 11-6.
yeah.
That was their
That's right.
worst
That
regular
was the
season
Christmas
record
loss to the
in the
Raiders.
Patrick Mahomes
Mm-hmm,
era, and
mm-hmm.
that team still led the division wire to wire.
Through the first 10 weeks. Now we
Yeah,
are comparing all of these
I
seasons
get
through
it.
10 weeks. The Chiefs
I
had a
know.
bit of a late season swoon in 2023, but yeah, this was not, not the best team the Chiefs have ever fielded. 2024, last year, of course, the Chiefs winning all those games. AFC 1-1-1-1-1, 1-1-1-1-1. Division, of course, would be the same, all ones. So that brings us to 2025. And I've given you all those years and all those ones because the conference ranking for the Chiefs this year, of course, they started 0-2. So 9, 11, never forget, 7, 6, 8, 8, 6, 5, 8, 6 are their rankings. And that means This is just purely based on win percentage. So the Chiefs in Week 10 right now are the sixth best team win percentage wise. Now, you and I, we were just breaking down. Of course, other teams have some tiebreakers here over the
Right.
Chiefs. So even though they're
Yep.
sixth in win percentage, they're really eighth in the seeding
Yeah.
because there's a couple
Yeah.
teams that would get in. But this is all just showing, who's the best win percentage wise, and then of course AFC West rankings. The Chiefs have not held the number one ranking in the AFC West all year. Four, four,
That's
two, two,
crazy.
three, three, two, two, three, and currently three behind the Chargers and Broncos.
It's
We
wild.
have not been here before. We have not experienced a storm like this. The Chiefs are in real, actual danger of missing the playoffs for the first time after 10 weeks in the Mahomes era. And really, it's not even close. 2021 was not close. 2023 was not close. They were number one by week 10. 2023 at the end of the year, I do remember after the Raiders loss, and they had the Bengals coming up without Joe Burrow. It was going to be Jake Browning and the Bengals after that game. And everyone was saying, well, if they lose to the Bengals, now they're 9-8 now, or whatever it would have been, now but they didn't. They didn't lose that game. They beat the Bengals. They locked everything up. This is like we are not even at Thanksgiving yet. This is
Yeah.
11-11 today, and we are
Yeah.
talking about we are worried about them making the playoffs. I just wanted to underscore that because I feel that it's important to point out that the Chiefs' backs are against the wall in a way that it just plain has never been.
Yeah, and even in 2023, I looked this up while you were giving us all those brilliant numbers. The second place teams in the division, the Broncos and Raiders tied at 8-9. So
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Chiefs ended up 2 games clear in the division. They rested their starters, and
right.
like with an 11-6 record, their worst record in the regular season in the Patrick Mahomes era, and they still easily cleared the division by 2 games, right? Like they just they just have never been placed in the regular season in the position that they are currently in now, in third place in the division, in eighth place in the AFC, with, I mean, 7 games now to go or 8 games now to go. They just, I'm not saying that they can't make the playoffs. Of course they can.
Right,
And
of course. Not what
obviously
I'm saying either.
they can do it, but we need them to find the second gear. This is the biggest question for me, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we get to the Broncos preview too. The team has extra gears. We see it every year in the playoffs. They always play their best ball in January and most of the time in February, notwithstanding catastrophic injuries to the offensive line. Uh, they have the extra gear. The coaching staff has the extra gear. Patrick Mahomes has the extra gear. Almost every guy in the roster has that extra gear. We've never seen them get to that gear this early in the season
Or
because they've
need to.
never
They've gotten
needed.
to it.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't need to. And they
Mhm.
they pull it out for big games every now and then, not against the Bills in the regular season.
No,
They usually will pull it out against, Lamar
the Raiders.
Jackson. I mean, we'll see them beat the Raiders
Yeah.
and then take their foot off the gas. The point is, they've never been placed in a situation where they have to get into a higher gear in early November
Yeah.
for survival. Like where it's not quite win or go home yet, but it's the ship's taken on water,
It's getting
and
close.
you
Ship's
gotta
taking on
you
water.
got you gotta make it you gotta make it to Whitefish
You
Bay.
got
And
to get the buckets out.
if you don't make it to Whitefish Bay, you're going to the bottom. So I mean, look, this schedule is tough. It's not a gimme. You have the 3 first place teams in the AFC, the 3 8-2 teams. You play 2 of them the next 2 weeks. You play the
Yeah.
Broncos and Colts back to back.
Yeah.
The Colts added Sauce Gardner at the trade deadline. Then you play the Dallas Cowboys, who added Quentin Williams on Thanksgiving. In a short week, you're going to Dallas on a short week. The Cowboys aren't good, but they are dangerous. Like,
Yes.
it's not that the Cowboys aren't the Raiders, right? They aren't the Titans.
No,
They
not even
are
close.
one of the best offenses in the league.
Mhm.
And sure, their defense has been really bad this year. But like, if you have a team that is dangerous in some facet, which clearly the Raiders are not in any way, the Titans are not in any way, the Chiefs still each play one of each of those teams once, they're still dangerous, even if they're not good. Then they play the Houston Texans at home, and the Houston Texans a really bad offense, but an incredible defense. One of the
Number
two or
one in
three
football.
best,
Yeah.
exactly. One of the, I mean, like
Depending on the
conservatively,
metric. Yeah.
easily top three.
Yes.
By some metrics, the best defense in the league, even better than the Broncos defense. That is a dangerous team, even if it's not a good team.
You don't think Houston wants to beat the shit out of the Chiefs, who've beaten them twice in the playoffs in the last 5 years? I mean, that's the
yeah,
other thing is these teams are they're out for blood. They
yeah,
they want
they
the
are.
Chiefs more than they
Every
want
single one.
anyone any other team. So you've got the double whammy of not only having a hard schedule and not only already having dropped 4 games, but all these teams want to kill you. They want to
And
make sure you don't show back up in the playoffs and kill them.
yeah, exactly right. Not only do they not like us for personal reasons, this is just a good business decision for them.
Yes.
If you beat the Chiefs in a regular season, you don't have to beat them in January.
No, or lose to them in January.
If you exactly, you all you need to do is throw a couple of additional regular season losses on the Chiefs, punch them down into that eighth place spot where they're going to stay. The Texans got off to a terrible start. They're 4-5. They're only a
Yeah.
game behind the Chiefs.
Yep.
Like we talked about the unlikelihood of a team catching the Chiefs from behind. Well, I mean, we're here.
There now.
The Texans have clawed their way back.
The
They're four and
Ravens.
five. They still have to play the Chiefs. The Ravens, fortunately, are probably just locked into winning the North, and like the
But then that puts
Steelers.
the Steelers behind the Chiefs. And the Steelers
Yeah,
currently, I
yeah,
mean, the
yeah. The
point
Steelers
is
probably are
there
not going
are
to catch the Chiefs from the
contenders.
back, but the
There
point
are
is that
Jags
they might.
and there's tons of teams right now that the Chiefs are going to be looking at and trying to fend off. And all it takes is if that game against the Texans late in the year is for like the 7 spot in the AFC playoffs, I mean that's it. That's all you
Yeah,
need. It's
yep.
a dire situation.
And the Chargers, of course, you play the Chargers after the Texans. I mean, in the next 5 weeks, the Chiefs play the two of the three best teams in the AFC. They play the fourth best team in the AFC by record, and they play the Texans, who were back-to-back division winners and have the best defense in football, and they play the Cowboys on the road on a short week, who have one of the three best offenses in football.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get Titans, Broncos, Raiders to close out the year. Broncos game is at home on Christmas. They have to travel to us on a short week. Sure, you probably like your chances in that game, but like those games might not matter if the Chiefs don't get
Yeah.
through this next 5 game stretch. This is
The
a really
Broncos might be
hard
resting their
stretch.
starters.
Sure, they might be. And
It's
you know what?
ugh.
That would be kind of fun because, I
beat
mean,
them beat them 38-0 like they did.
yeah, I mean, beat them
Yeah,
58 nothing. But it will only be fun if we have something to play for. And in order to have something to play for, the Chiefs need to take care of business over the next 5 weeks. I don't want to be a downer,
I hear you.
but I think like it, and to be clear, like even Vegas is all based on what people are betting, right? Like people are like, oh,
Yes.
Vegas still has the Chiefs as the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Well, sure, but they're just trying to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't mean that the money is necessarily smart. Now, in the aggregate, usually it is, but not always. And things like DVOA, the Chiefs' odds to win the AFC West if they beat the Broncos this weekend are 50%. They become the division favorite. All they have to do, even though they're 3 or
Sounds
two and a
right.
half back from the Broncos, if they just beat the Broncos this weekend, they jump to division favorites barely. If they lose this weekend, they have a 7% chance to win the division. And
Which
that
feels high.
seems, yes, it seems generous to me.
Yes.
And the only reason it's even that high is because metrics like DVOA are assuming that the Chiefs are really good because the underlying numbers do say that they're really good. They have a better point differential than the Broncos, who have 3 more wins,
Yep.
but you have to convert that potential into actual wins or it doesn't matter.
Let me
And
let me pose this question.
yeah,
If the 2024 Chiefs and the 2025 Chiefs were to match up with each other hypothetically, and you've got one team on paper, the 2025 Chiefs, look like they would be the favorites. They perform better on offense. They're more explosive playmakers, yada yada yada. The 2024 team just kind of made it work. They won
yep,
all those 11 score games. It wasn't always pretty, and in fact, most of the time it was extremely ugly. But they just won the games. Now, to me, you play the 2025 team and the 2024 team 10 times, and I feel like the 2025 team should win 7 or 8 of them. but I think that they go 50-50 because I just think that this team, all the breaks that were happening for the Chiefs, whether that's outside of the team with other teams losing or whether that was during Chiefs games, the breaks just ain't coming. And not only are they not coming, they're breaking towards their opponents in
Right.
ways that they haven't in a
Right.
while. And it just feels this is a tough hill to climb, man. I don't feel like we're being negative or being like, okay, you'll get a lot of people that'll say like, well, you don't believe in the Chiefs, like they blah blah blah. Laundry matters a ton to a lot of people, but like you have to look at just the reality of being a sports team at the record that the Chiefs are with the opponents that are remaining and the overall picture of the NFL right now. It doesn't matter how good the Chiefs have been. The Chiefs have been the best team in American sports for 8 years. This is a dire situation.
Yeah, and the problem is, like the good ship Edmund Fitzgerald, like you just don't know when you're going, like when you hit when you get one drop of water over the buoyancy, like the ship's going to go
Yeah,
down fast.
yeah,
Like if you lose this game this weekend and you lose one more game, you might be out of the playoffs.
yep.
I mean, you'd be at 11-6. You have lost the tiebreaker with the Bills. You've lost the tiebreaker with the Jags. You do have the tiebreaker over the Ravens. They're probably going to win their division, so that doesn't matter. You may be able to claw back the tiebreaker from the Chargers, but your best case scenario is splitting with them. Then it goes to division record. And if you lose a game with the Broncos this weekend, that's going to put you behind the 8 ball in the division. That's going to put you behind the 8 ball for the next
God,
tiebreaker with the Chargers.
did
So
you
the
know the Edmund Fitzgerald set seasonal hauling records 6 times, breaking its own record 4 times?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like
It
a football team that
it
we root for.
it absolutely does. I mean, the
There's just
parallels
too many
here,
parallels. There's too
and
many.
and once it went down, there was no coming back. I mean, it was like you said, once you start taking on water, it can happen in a hurry. And I just think that we as cautious fans, you know, we're not saying it's going to happen. We're not predicting it to happen. We're not saying anything negatively as far as like our belief in the team. It's just a very tenuous situation.
Precarious. It's precarious. We've got a bad list. We've got both radars out, and we're in
Yeah.
the worst seas we've ever seen. So, we can tell people we're holding our own, but the situation is it's a little bit more serious than that would imply. Let's talk about the game that is happening this weekend. Chiefs are playing at the Broncos. Before we dive into the data a little bit, I do just want to take a couple of shots across the bows. I have been dealing with Broncos fans in my mentions all day. I had to mute several posts that I made because I just was tired of, me, I'm a compulsive replier, and I just had to stop because I had things that I needed to do.
Yeah.
I could have zinged 1,000 more Broncos fans today, but I just didn't have the time to do it. And frankly, I didn't have the energy to do it, but I will put a little bit of energy into it here. I'm just gonna throw some zings out there. If you've got some zings, feel free to contribute here. I just want to remind people, first of all, that the Broncos are 56-73 against the Chiefs all
Mm.
time. And I would also like to remind people that the Broncos only have 3 Super Bowl championships and the Chiefs have 4. Uh, I did have somebody reply to me to tell me that the Broncos in between 1970 and 2015 were 53-38 against the Chiefs, and they had 3 Super Bowls and we had none. Another way of saying that would be to say that before 1970 and after 2015, which is a 38 game stretch, the Chiefs are 35-3 against the Broncos,
Mm.
and they've won 4 Super Bowls in that time.
Mm.
So, that seems pretty good. I have had people tell me today that the Broncos dominated the Chiefs of my childhood. If it's just not true at all, like if you look at the decade by decade performance between these two teams, the Broncos, their best decade stretch against the Chiefs was in the 70s. They were 12-8 against the Chiefs. They were
Ooh.
a couple of games above 500. The Chiefs against the Broncos in the 60s were 19-1. And then obviously in the 2025s, they're whatever they
The
are with Patrick.
2025s.
It's the 2020s. You know what I mean?
I do.
Listen. I'm working my way back. I'm dusting the rust off. The Chiefs are 8-2 in the 2020s against the Broncos so far. And obviously in the latter half of the 2010s, they were 11-9 against the Broncos in the 2010s. That was like 0-9 and then 11 straight. So, you know,
Well, we couldn't help but note that the Broncos fan, this specific one that was championing this amazing record from 1970 to 2015, is the same winning percentage as John Elway's winning percentage was
for
against the
his career.
Chiefs, which is
Sure.
to
Yeah,
say,
right.
not very impressive. Elway, as we've established many times, was 17-12 against the Chiefs. That's a 10-7 season, regular season. It's
It's just
it's
not that good.
fine. It's
Yeah.
barely going to get you into the playoffs. Barely. 10 wins is like you got to make sure that you're, fending off everyone else who's trying to get in. It is not dominant. It is not something where these Broncos fans just seem to think that up until Mahomes, this series was just dominated by the Broncos, and they just had the Chiefs number over and over again. Do you know what Elway was in Arrowhead? He was 4-10, 14 games.
It's not very
This
good.
is this is not some demon that Chiefs fans stay up at night worrying about what happened when John Elway was quarterback. This is, and again, it's just the same thing that's happening here with their revisionist history and trying to pretend that, oh, up until Mahomes it was all us. It's like, no, you were barely better than us, and now for the last 10 years we've been much more than barely better than you. We've been just destroying you week in and week out every time. So makes me mad.
Yeah, it does. Let's talk about this game before we delve too deeply into our Broncos rage. I mean, listen, listeners of the podcast know this. I live in Colorado. I'm going to be flying back during this game. I'm officiating my sister's wedding in Kansas City this weekend, and I mean, honestly, I don't know if my stomach is strong enough to watch this game live. There's a lot on the line.
I don't blame you.
I tweeted this today, and this is the strongest take that I have currently, which is that the Broncos are not a good team,
No.
and if the Chiefs can't beat them with everything on the line, this game means a lot more to the Chiefs than it does to the Broncos. The Broncos, unfortunately, like they're going to make the playoffs. We just have to accept that. They're probably not going to do anything when they get there because Bo Nix is bad. Um, I just will throw in this little nugget from my buddy Joe Rolls, who covers the Broncos. On throws over 10 yards, Bo Nix, off target rate of 39%, which is 32nd in the NFL. When he's in a clean pocket, he's still off target 37% of the time, which is also 32nd in the NFL.
Man,
I mean,
you
they're
can't throw
not
the
going
football.
they're not going anywhere because he's a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
But the point is this: the Broncos aren't good, and if the Chiefs can't beat them with their season on the line, their division AFC West winning streak on the line, their Chiefs are also not good, and we just need to accept that they're not good. No matter what stats we can dig up, DVOA, EPA, success rate, point differential, whatever you want
Yep.
to dig up that says the Chiefs are good, we just have to accept that those are liars and the Chiefs are not good if they can't win this game.
And not only, the individual players on the Chiefs, like, yes, they have Patrick Mahomes. And yes, we did not foresee a situation in the peak Mahomes era where the Chiefs would field a bad team as long as he was the quarterback. That has shown that sometimes, shit still goes sideways, even when you have someone like Mahomes at quarterback. Yeah, it does mean that the Chiefs just aren't good. They're going to be their season's on the line, and if you can't beat a team like the Broncos that don't have a good quarterback when your season's on the line, that tells me that you're not that good.
Our friend Joseph Hefe provides these neat little game cards that we'd love to do because then we don't have to pay for DVOA, and DVOA
Yeah,
is a liar sometimes anyway. But
yeah, it's great.
we've been using these this season. He does great work. Check him out on
At
Twitter
Joseph Hefe,
and
JosepHJefe.
and on Twitter and on Blue Sky. I think it is his handle on both.
I believe so.
Uh,
Yep.
the Chiefs offense is really good. Second in EPA, seventh in passing EPA, fifth in rushing EPA, a third
Somehow.
in overall success rate, third in passing success rate, 16th in rushing success rate, which is actually a little bit interesting because Kareem Hunt is top 5 as an individual back in rushing
Mm-hmm.
success rate, which
Mm-hmm.
just goes to show you how unsuccessful Isaiah Pacheco was when he was in there.
And Brashard Smith and
And
anyone
Rashard
else
Smith
they've
and
tried to give a handoff to. I mean, yeah, it's been rough.
late down success rate third, pass rate fifth, pass rate over expected first. They're still throwing the ball in neutral situations more than any other team. Explosive play rate is 16th, which compared to last year is a huge improvement, gangbusters.
Yeah.
Series conversion rate is third, so the number of times that they turn a first down, earn a new set of downs or touchdown on any given drive. Offense is really potent. The Broncos defense is very good, and there's no there's no question that they're very good. I think it's fair to question whether this is a great defense because of who they played. And, sure, yes, the Broncos are on a historic sack pace. They got 9 of those sacks against Justin Fields,
Hmm.
and they got probably about 6 of those sacks. I don't remember how many it was on Thursday night. They got like
Man, it
6 of
was
those
tight.
sacks against Geno Smith. Like there are games where the Broncos pass rush will take games over and basically just completely shut down the opposing offense. Now, a lot of teams shut down the Jets offense, regardless of whether they have a dominant pass rush or not. And the same goes for the Raiders offense, which the Chiefs, without any discernible pass rush at all, held to 3 first downs, which
Yeah.
is even more inept than the Broncos made them look, despite the fact that the Broncos racked up a billion sacks or whatever, and the Chiefs got what, like maybe two, one. Uh, the point is the Broncos defense is good, but when the Broncos defense has gone against good quarterbacks, even good quarterbacks that don't have incredible offensive lines, they've lost. Daniel Jones with the Colts beat them, and their only other loss was to Justin Herbert and the Chargers, who, I mean, Joe Alt was playing in that game, but they were without Rashawn Slater. You know, not quite as deep into the injury report and the practice squad as they are now,
Sure.
but still, you would never confuse the Chargers for one of the best offensive lines in the sport at the time they played the Broncos, and Justin Herbert beat him. You know, uh, I think in terms of skill player talent, the Chiefs are clearly ahead of where the Chargers are at. Which is not to say that the Chargers have no skill player talent. Keenan Allen, Lad McConkey, Gadsden, their rookie tight end.
Yeah,
They've
they had
they've
Omar
got
and Hampton in that
a
game. I mean, they've got
Quentin
some
Quentin
players. Yeah.
Quentin Johnson was having an early season breakout. He's kind of faded a little bit. I mean, the Chargers have some talent, but I think you could easily make the argument the Chiefs have more skill player talent than the Chargers do. And here we are. Like you should be able to score on this defense. It doesn't matter how good the Broncos defense is. It's 2025, and defense just cannot beat offense all the time unless you're playing against Justin Fields or Geno
Yeah.
Smith or whoever. It just you can't a defense can't dominate these games the entire time. And the Chiefs know Vance Joseph. They know Vance Joseph from when he was the coach of the Broncos, and they know Vance Joseph as he's been the defensive coordinator for the past couple of years with Sean Payton. They know this personnel very well. They're coming off of a bye. You have to beat this Broncos defense and score points in this game.
No Pat Surtain, which obviously helps things tremendously from the passing game perspective, especially when the Chiefs, they're going to want to get their wide receivers involved, which has not always been the case with the Chiefs offense, but certainly, is the case for the 2025 version. And I scoring is so much of a game of scoring efficiency as much as it is volume, of course, and especially with the Chiefs. And they're going to need to make sure that if these possessions in this game are limited, because you have one matchup of a really good offense against a really good defense, and the other, which we'll talk about, of a middling defense against a putrid offense. Um, scoring or drive numbers is probably going to be at a premium. And so the more important thing is going to be to make sure that these drives of the Chiefs end in sixes as much as possible, or at
Yep.
least threes. Not a lot of three and outs, of course, not turnovers. And you just can't give the Broncos offense any life by screwing up your own offensive possessions. I will say though that the Chiefs seem to, anecdotally, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they seem to really play well against the league's elite defensive units over the Mahomes era.
Yeah.
They really, really show up when it's like, this is the best defense anyone's ever seen in their
Right.
lives, and this is defense DVOA number one, and blah blah, all the time. And the Chiefs have faced plenty of those teams, often in the Super Bowl, but plenty of those teams, and they hold their own. They have a good. They don't usually seem to get shut down by another defense, at least in a way that is predictable. And so I don't think that the Chiefs are going to have any trouble against this Broncos defense. We'll see if that's correct.
On the other side of the ball, this is obviously where you have a little bit of stoppable force, movable object. It's funny because as with the team as a whole, the Chiefs defense is very polarizing amongst
Yes.
Chiefs fans. And I think Chiefs fans have a more realistic picture of the Chiefs defense than do many national pundits. I saw a ranking the other day, I forget who it was, where they ranked the Chiefs as having like the fifth best defense in
Oh no.
football.
Oh
And I was
no.
like,
What year was
that's like at least 10 or 12 spots too high. And I'm saying this as a Chiefs fan. Like,
it? Yep.
and their point was, elite coach, elite secondary. Well, okay, sure, yeah, that's all fine and good. The pass rush is still a big, 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 big problem, and it's especially problematic against teams like the Broncos, who have a very good offensive line. We saw it. I mean, really, the worst of it against the Bills, where the Bills have a good offensive line and they have a great quarterback, like a top three quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Although he's been a little
A little shaky.
he's been a little spotty, a little
Everybody
shaky
goes
this
through it.
year. But the point is, Josh Allen is obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the sport. The Chiefs could not touch him. Combination of his play, his elusiveness, the scheme, and the protection was, I mean, he was untouchable. And the Broncos don't have all of those elements because they don't have a good quarterback and they do have a good offensive line, but the Chiefs don't. I mean, the pass rush just hasn't been very good at all.
No.
The Broncos' success on offense is it's not good. They're 30th in passing success rate. There's only 32 teams in the NFL, and the Broncos are 30th in passing success rate. They're 28th in overall success rate. Okay. They're 23rd in series conversion rate. They're 20th in late down success rate. They're 20th in passing EPA. This is just not a good offense by any stretch. It's a bad offense. And the Chiefs defense, if you look at the overall numbers, they're 13th in EPA. That seems pretty good, it's
Yeah.
top half. They're ninth in passing EPA. They do a really good job of limiting explosive plays. They do the eighth best job in the NFL of limiting explosive plays. The rest of the numbers are really middling at best. They're 25th in EPA against the rush, which is, we've talked about this many times on the show. That's kind of just what they do. That
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad against the run. It just means that they're forcing teams to run. They're 18th in overall success rate against, 16th against the pass, 22nd against the rush. This is still a matchup that the Chiefs should win. They should win the strength on strength matchup, and they are a little bit better statistically in the weakness on weakness matchup. I mean, not
It's
even a
hard to
little
be
bit
much
better.
worse
Like,
than the Broncos
exactly.
offense.
It
Yeah.
is. It is. And Bo Nix has had games where he just looks utterly lost. And you would think that if there was a defensive coordinator in the league that could
Hmm.
put an inexperienced, even though he's played the most games
He's
in college
ancient.
football history, he's almost 26 years old. He's going to be 26 in a month and a half.
NFL experience, inexperienced. Yeah.
And you would think, and he hasn't been good. You would think
No.
that if somebody could put him in a blender, it would be Steve Spagnuolo. And yet, the Broncos, we thought that last year when he was a rookie. And, the game, obviously, where the Chiefs played their starters, which they won on a block kick at the
Hmm.
last minute. Sure, the Broncos didn't. I mean, they scored 17 points in that game. It wasn't a huge offensive output, but like they did move the ball against the Chiefs. They looked a lot better than I expected them to. And the
Sure.
other part of this is, like uh, I don't know. It's been a minute since I listened to the Harm show when I was going through the Channel Tunnel on my way over to France because I have a horrible fear about being crushed underwater,
I get it.
even though the tunnel never floods. But like
But he could.
I assume you guys expected. I seem to recall that you expected the Chiefs to dust off, the good plays against the Bills. For once,
Sure.
put
Yeah.
them out there.
Yeah.
A little offensive game plan that maybe has the potential to score some points. Let's see a defensive game plan that controls this game. I mean, I know it's November 11th. I know it's week 10, but the Chiefs need this game. They have to have this game. They need to exploit their talent advantage. They need to exploit their coaching advantage. And I do think, despite everything that's happened this year, the Chiefs do have a coaching advantage in this game. They do have a coaching advantage in this game. And they also have a talent advantage in this game. The Chiefs are a better team than the Broncos overall. So there's really no excuses. They need to win this game. They have to win this game. If they don't win this game, we're going to plummet to the bottom of the lake. You'll never hear from us again.